Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone participating in this event, CO2 Cartagena, and in this panel about the energy sector decarbonization in Colombia. We are very happy to receive today a lot of attendees from those American and Colombian corporations that are embarked in their path to carbon neutrality. As we believe that there is a role to play, but every company in the world and every individual in the world in this carbon neutrality. And today we have an opportunity to hear some stories from the energy companies in Colombia about how are they facing this challenge and how are they moving forward in their agendas of becoming net zero. I'm very happy today because we have four of the leaders of the main companies that are participating in the energy transition in Colombia. We have representation from the main oil company in country, or the main energy company, I should say now, in country, which is Ecopetrol, two large power generators that are participating actively in the renewable energy sector, that is AES and ISAGEN, and one main player in the renewable energy service and energy efficiency service in Colombia for distributed generation, as is Green Yellow. So before we get started into hearing their stories about the strategies that they have implemented to become net zero, and as well as some of the learnings in that process, I like to get our panel participants to introduce themselves and say a little bit about their corporations, and then we can get started into getting the details of their stories. So let's start with ladies first. Jamie.
Thank you, Boris, and welcome everybody that is joining us today. My name is Jamie Baez. I'm the Low Carbon Solutions Vice President for Ecopetrol Group. From this position, I oversee the whole portfolio that Ecopetrol is looking at for this decarbonization path that we are all embracing. I'm responsible for the natural gas, LPG, renewables, hydrogen, and CCUS portfolio for Ecopetrol, and it's a pleasure to share with you how we are doing in Ecopetrol on this journey.
Perfect. Thank you, Jamie. Federico.
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation. My name is Federico Chavarria. I am the country manager for AES Corporation in Colombia. AES is a Fortune 500 corporation in the power generation and distribution business. In Colombia, we are a 100% renewable company with multiple technologies. We have hydro. We have the third largest hydro facility in the country, Chibor, with 1,000 megawatts. We also have generation from solar, and we are developing the largest cluster of wind energy in the country in La Guajira.
Excellent, Federico. Thanks very much, Arturo.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to thank you, the organizer, for the invitation. Also, best greetings for the well-known and former work colleagues that are participating in the panel. It's for me an honor to be part of it. My name is Arturo Mejia. I'm the CFO of ISAGEN. That's the Brookfield's Colombian platform. Just a little bit about Brookfield Renewable Partners has more than 120 years of experience in energy generation. He also has $60 billion invested in generation assets around the globe, and more than 20 gigawatts of installed capacity and 6,000 generation plants. In Colombia, ISAGEN, with more than 43 years of experience, is a private energy generation and commercialization company with 16 generation plants, and adds up to 3.2 gigawatts of installed capacity. 92 of it is hydro, 6% is thermal generation, and 2% non-conventional renewable energy. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Arturo. Rafael.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to share a panel with you and colleagues and participate in this interesting event. Green Yellow is a French company with presence in 17 countries with different business lines in pro to optimizing the behavior of the energy behavior of our clients around the world and reduce the footprint impact for them. In Colombia, we have two different business lines. The first one is related to all the action to reduce the consumption of our clients. Reducing the consumption and means that reduce the dependence of the client of the grid. And the second one is related to generation energy, specifically with the solar energy. In this case, we have two business lines again. The first one is the self-generation to give energy to our clients, and the second one is give energy or deliver energy to the grid. Definitely, Green Yellow is the company to the transition energy. In my case, I am Rafael Pareja, and I'm in charge of all the process to identify, to develop, to build, and to operate all those projects for this company in Colombia.
Perfect, Rafael. Thanks very much. So as you can see, this panel is actually full of stars, and I think that definitely is worthwhile hearing all the activities, the actions that they have taken to become carbon neutral in the near term. Because right now, I mean, I know you guys, your companies have targets of decarbonizing some emissions to 2030. Some of you have already set the target to become carbon neutral to 2050 as some of the country goals. And I'd like to understand a little bit more about that path. How's that path been? So let's start, Jamie, with yourself. What is the capital strategy to become net zero? And you know, if you can deep a little bit the explanation in how the low carbon solutions are instead, I mean, in specifically those low carbon projects are playing a role in the path to net zero that Ecopetrol is moving forward with.
In Ecopetrol, we recently launched our new strategy to 2040 that is named Energy That Transforms. So we are very conscious on the responsibility that we have to deliver the fuels and the energy that moves Colombia. So for that reason, in our strategy, we are still moving forward in our hydrocarbons businesses. Those are very important because every day, every Colombian is needing the fuels and the energy that Ecopetrol is delivering to them. So, but actually, you know, the main challenge for the hydrocarbon business is actually to decarbonize it. Currently, we have around 13 million tons of CO2 per year that are emitted, scope 1 and 2 in Ecopetrol. So we need to actually decrease that number by implementing energy efficiency projects, but by incorporating renewable sources to our energy matrix. But we also need to compensate some of those emissions. But anyway, we are also embracing a challenge to diversify our portfolio. That's the reason because we acquired the transmission lines company named ISA, which actually has a significant incumbent position in Central and Latin America. And of course, with that acquisition, we are now in the electrification journey that we are all, you know, embracing not only in Colombia and in Latin America, but globally. Of course, that will be complemented with the low emissions solutions that I manage, because at the end, you know, it will be a matter of having diverse sources of energy. It will not only be the hydrocarbons or the electricity, but also it will be needed hydrogen, natural gas, biogas, biomass. So what we are trying to do is to create that larger scope for the company, and of course to be sure that the state-owned company, it is quite aligned, you know, with what the Colombian government is looking for, but also what the Colombian people is needing, which is actually energy sources that are greener, but that are at the price that they can pay. So I think in Colombia, you know, it is not only to copy the energy transition models that we are, you know, looking at in Europe or in US. We need to do something different because we need to be aware on the social conditions and economical conditions in our country.
Okay, thanks, Jamie. And what is the role that the carbon offset have in that strategy? I hear you saying that you're generating a lot of projects that are going to be carbon negative, even carbon capture and sequestration. and usage and a lot of renewable energy and even hydrogen. So what is the role of the carbon offsets today, and what will be the role that the carbon offsets that are generated from those carbon negative projects will have in the future?
Well, our target is at least 70% of the CO2 emissions reductions will come from operational efficiencies and the incorporation of renewables in our operations. But 30% still will be offset with natural climate solutions or natural-based solutions. So still there is significant room, to take advantage of the biodiversity that we have in Colombia. And I'm pretty sure that we will be, in the top notch of the global conversation regarding, those kind of projects.
Excellent. Okay, Federico, and in AES case, we understand that AES is probably going to be one of the first power generators that will become carbon neutral. I know that you guys are making big steps towards reaching that carbon neutrality. I don't know if it's going to be this year or next year. Why don't you tell us how that journey has been, and what are the challenges that you guys have faced into reaching that carbon neutrality?
Thank you, Boris. And I think what's important about AES strategy is that we want to be a facilitator for our clients to become carbon neutral and to reduce their emissions. So it's important to highlight our strategy is to become the more sustainable, reliable, and competitive energy portfolio in the country. So in terms of sustainability, we are 100% renewable company. So our clients, when they buy our energy, they have the comfort to be sure that the energy that they buy is 100% renewables. In terms of reliability, it's important that we can provide our clients 24/7. So with our hydro plants, we're able to guarantee that we can provide 24/7 energy. And as Jamie was mentioning, it's very important that the energy that we sell is competitive. And that's why the non-conventional renewables, particularly wind, we're able to provide that competitive energy that the country needs. So that's on the client's front. But also, I'm sure that clients want to know if we are carbon neutral in our operations. So in terms of generations, we are comfortable to guarantee our clients, as I said before, that we are carbon neutral as our operations, the generation itself does not produce emissions. However, you want to make sure that the complementary emissions that are produced by complementary activities like transportations. For instance, we provide river transportation around the reservoir. We provide ground transportation for our people. Our clients want to make sure that, and our stakeholders want to make sure that all our operations are carbon neutral. The reality is that we start measuring ourselves in 2018. So we first measured our hydro facilities, then we measure our solar facilities, and at this moment we completed the measurement of our complementary operations, and we are glad to mention that currently we are carbon negative because we have 2,000 hectares of protected forest that are able to compensate the emissions of our complementary operations. So at this moment, we have done that internally and with the help of our external consultants. In 2023, we expect to get certified with the Econtech standard. So we will be able to have an external framework that can support that carbon negativity that we have at this moment.
Excellent, Federico. And becoming, so you're not going to become only carbon neutral, but carbon negative, right? So in that process, what is the role of the carbon offsets that you are generating, obviously, from those carbon negative projects? What are you going to do with them? Are you going to make them available to your customers, or what is your strategy with those?
Mm-hmm. So that's a very important point. So I think initially we start with AES operations, and we can, as I said, currently we are carbon negative and we expect to be certified soon. But then I think we'd also need to help our clients to have those certifications. So we have two sources of certifications. One is the IREX that permits clients to have reductions in their emissions from scope 2 that are provided by our hydro facilities that we have made available both for Colombian companies and multinationals that have operations in Colombia that want to make sure that they are globally carbon neutral. So that's one type of certification that we have available for our clients. And we also have certs that come from the United Nations that are able to provide a further scope of emissions reductions. And also we have been able to transact those certificates.
Perfect. No, fantastic. So Arturo, let's hear now from Isagen. We understand that you guys are one of the key players in the renewable energy projects that are happening in La Guajira. And we know that you guys are slowly decarbonizing the portfolio of assets in Colombia. And I'd like to understand what has been the decarbonization strategy of the portfolio. How have you guys achieved that and remain profitable?
Okay, thank you, Boris. Now, just to start, I think the main strategy for reducing the carbon footprint is growth. Growth in renewables, basically supplying our clients' needs. Last year, Isagen committed more than 3 billion pesos in 14 operating plants and under construction projects. We're about to finish and getting to the system Guajira 1 of 20 megawatts and West of O1 of 12 megawatts from La Guajira. And also we started the operations of Llanos 4 and 5. So that 3 billion committed to the renewable market is what we want to keep on investing in the country. So our strategy, growth strategy, explicitly focusing solar, hydro, and wind projects that comply with three elements, which are very important for us. One is to find profitable projects with added value in social and environmental matters. The second very important topic is to find affordable and manageable risk profile. And third, is our portfolio is focusing in Antioquia, and we expanded in other geographies, is to leverage those investments in synergies and economy of scale to implement well-proven processes that we've been for the last 43 years. Our goal is to consolidate Isagen as a clean and sustainable energy leader in Colombia. And also another point, Boris, which is quite important, is we are in the process of financing our growth with ESG framework that will incorporate carbon reduction targets, KPIs, in the financing facilities, along with the incorporation of ESG bond issuances. And around 1 teacup or 1 teacup or 1 trillion cup of financing resources is target to close a green loan facility in 2022. That's 1 billion, no 1 trillion. Will allow us to for the company to access to more projects and more financing resources as well. So that's our strategy to keep on growing, Boris.
Perfect. And being you, Arturo, the Chief Financial Officer of a corporation like Isagen, have you actually seen a difference in the access to capital coming from your strategy to be carbon neutral or to be into the low carbon business for the long run? Have you seen a change in the access to money, in the rates that you have been charged, etc.?
Yeah, access to money. I think that's the key topic here. A lot of financial institutions are getting more and more money available for investing in non-conventional renewable energy. on other climate change initiatives. In terms of rates, I think they're more moving to maintain the rates that we're seeing in this environment, in certain environment. We see very small changes from being, a structural or a normal financing against green or social sustainable financing, about 5 to 10 basic points. But the markets are moving towards to get more benefits for the people who are leveraging in this type of projects.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Arturo. Rafael, now let's talk about how you guys in Green Yellow are actually helping the small corporations, small companies, and even the individuals, right, in their process of decarbonization. I know that you install a lot of distributed power generation that is renewable. You work also the energy efficiency angle of your customers. So my question is more related to what is the approach that you guys are using to encourage more participation of the small companies into this carbon neutrality roadmap?
Hey, Boris, yes, thank you for asking me. Like I say, Green Yellow has a business line directly to the self-generation. And in this case, the self-generation to our client is important not only for the footprint impact, but it's important too for the maintain your competitive in the market. In that sense, we need to offer to our clients not only renewable energy and still offer cheaper energy. And in many cases, the solar energy is not that cheaper than the energy that they produce in their process. For example, in the mines and oil and gas, they produce from cogeneration, trigeneration, and they still that they're more cheaper than the energy cost, the solar energy cost. In this case, we are more creative, or we try to be more creative to offer for clients offers that mix between the environmental source and the competitive prices for the client. In this sense, you use the offsets or the carbon offset to have to endure in two bias. The first one is to guarantee that the source of that energy is renewable, and the other one to reduce or increase the revenues for business plan and offer a very competitive tariff for energy in self-generation.
Okay, so you are basically like taking the value that you can capture from the carbon offsets and bringing that as a source of value also for your customers. So
yeah,
their projects
right.
become more profitable. Excellent.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and the uptake in terms of you mentioned that you have presences in 17 countries and now, well, obviously Colombia is probably one of the newer markets for you guys. So in what is the level of motivation of a small or medium-sized companies to start taking obviously both the renewable energy solution, the energy efficiency solution, and the carbon offset as a source of value? How has that been? What barriers have you found in that process?
Definitely, Boris, we have going to bias. The first one is reduce the footprint impact, obviously with the renewable energy. But I think in these cases, it's more important to offer a very competitive offer. Means that the tariff is lower than they done take of the grid. In that sense, if you meet that both bias, we find a very good option for the client, and that in this case the client couldn't say no because it's the best option for them.
Excellent. Okay, so there is a financial motivation at the end, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, very good. So I think that it's time to turn a little bit around the conversation towards the project developers. So those guys that are in the process of structuring, building projects that are carbon negative in Colombia. As you know, Colombia has a lot of land and land availability for the development of projects that are natural based solutions, as Jamie mentioned. like afforestation, reforestation, REDD++ type of projects, mangrove protection. So I like to understand how you guys are interacting with that community of developers. How are you incentivizing the participation of those actors in this market in order to increase the number of projects and also accelerate the pace of execution? As you know, in Colombia, one of the challenges that we have in terms of pace of execution of projects is all the environmental and social, processes that need to take place for those projects to happen. So I like to understand the actions that your companies, individual companies, are taking towards facilitating or enabling these kind of projects. Jamie, let's start with yourself.
Sure. Well, first of all, it is important that you know that Ecopetrol is actually looking, for several projects to compensate the emissions that are required. As I told you, it is about 30% of our emissions, scope 1 and 2. So it means around 2 to 4 million tons of CO2 per year that we will need to compensate. So there is market and we need projects. That would be my first message. The second one is, I think it is important, to work on specific projects together, but also it is important to, to strengthen the institutional framework. So we are also working with the government, to build together a framework that help us all, to actually have this trading market that we are all dreaming about. We actually set up our carbon trading table in Ecopetrol, but we are more than sure that this is not an effort in which we need to address, all the challenges by ourselves. We need allies with other companies that are ready to deliver those kind of projects. So of course we have signed some agreements with, let's say, Wildlife Conservation Society, with South Pole. We have identified specific projects in Meta, in other areas, not only, to reforestation, but also that are targeting things like circular economy, that I think it is also, the other perspective to be added to this conversation. So I think, that we need to work together. We are looking for projects to actually offset some of the emissions that we have, and we are willing to do so. So I would say, if you have a good project that is actually traceable from the very beginning, it would be great to have this conversation with Ecopetrol, because we are willing to partner up with you.
Excellent, Jamie. And one question on that line. I know you guys have already sold carbon compensated crude oil. Is your view that will be expanded to other products of the company?
Sure, definitely. We started with our first cargo a few months ago. At the very beginning, we didn't know if we would find, the clients that are willing to pay an offset for the decarbonized product. So actually we were, I would say, the first movers on this market. But at the end, we just not only found some final users in the Asian markets that were willing to pay, but we also just recently delivered the first decarbonized cargo to US, which is great, and now we are not only including the emissions that are related with our exploration upstream, midstream processes, but also the transportation, from Colombia to the final destination. And because they are willing to pay, of course, we need some projects, to actually get the offsets that are required. So I think there is room to keep expanding this idea, not only to crude oil, but to other products. Actually, we are almost ready, to start selling gasoline for the Colombian people that, if you want to, you will pay a differential, a premium, to be sure that this gasoline that you are using, it is decarbonized or at least offset, So I think, yes, there is room for improvement. There are significant challenges ahead. So I'm pretty sure that we will find, these customers that are willing to pay that premium. In the long run, I think, our main challenge should be to deliver those kind of products at a price that is, accessible for everyone. And I think that's the main question.
Excellent, excellent. Those are excellent news for the project developers. What about you, Federico? How are you guys approaching the project developers or these kind of carbon negative projects in Colombia?
Yes, I think companies like AES can help in two dimensions. One is to make sure that we help to develop, as you are doing, Boris, with your company C Neutral, the carbon market. I think it's very important that we have a deeper, larger, more liquid carbon market in Colombia. So by offering IREX, SER, I think we can help develop that market. Will be basically the leverage for the developers of these new projects. So that's one dimension. The other dimension is, as I mentioned, we're in the process of certifying our carbon negativity, that we're carbon negative. And part of that process will be the 2,000 hectares that we have of protected forest. But also we are working on forest restorations with the local environmental authorities. So as we advance in that process, I think it will help as an example and as a support for the new developers.
Excellent, very good. And Arturo, what is ISAGEN approach?
We have two approaches. One, we already have a clean development mechanism for two of the biggest plants that we have, Sogamoso and Amoya. And we are in the process of certifying Guajira 1 and Llanos 4 and 5. All these certificates are offered to our clients. So our approach to these developers are through our clients. In 2021, we sold more than 1.8 million shares originally from these plants. They produce about 3 million certificates each year. And also, we think that the carbon market is not just a matter of selling certificates. To be honest with you, there are other angles to it. We believe that in addition to selling the shares to our clients, who they want to offset their carbon footprint or demonstrate that they're using renewable energy, we must continue to build mechanisms with them to offer them energy solutions, such as energy management is one of the approaches that we're taking to consolidate services that the energy client received. Also, we educate our clients on topics such as demand response management as well. And as Federico mentioned, we also trying to get 724 products of shaping their clients' needs. And also, all the mitigants, climate change. We have more than 16,000 hectares on forest to take care of around our operations, and that's the way we are trying to help the generation projects to get into place.
Excellent, very good. And lastly, Rafael, what are you guys doing to work together with these project developers?
Yes, Boris. At the moment, or in the last year, Green Yellow has determined to build almost 7 projects of solar energy. That means that project is equivalent to 80 megawatts to deliver clean energy to the system. That means that the Green Yellow trusts in the market, on the increasing solar market, on the increasing renewable market in Colombia. In that case, we are still looking for new projects, new developers, new promoters that bring to us new projects to bring to the system clean energy. And there is the reason for motivate or to incentivize new promoters, but new developers to bring to Colombia, to the Colombian market, to develop new projects and bring new solution for the system.
Okay, excellent. I think a perspective to take into account is that, I mean, those projects, the carbon negative projects, they occur in areas where sometimes there is no energy. So I think that it's important to have in mind that concept of building alliances between the energy sector and the renewable energy companies and the promoters of these projects. So they not only, focus on having a new forest or reducing the deforestation in certain areas, but also we can bring some development, new clean energy that enables not just the projects but also bring this clean energy solution to the communities where the projects are taking place. So that's something to have in mind. I think that we're out of time. I would love to continue talking to you guys, but I think time is up, and I know that you are all very, very busy. I really appreciate the time that you have taken to do this panel and to share your knowledge and experience with all these important audience. I think that there is definitely a path for neutrality that we all need to walk, and because it's for the planet, and I think that definitely we all have a role to play, from the individual corporations, from the base of our companies, and as well as engaging our customers. I think that those actions that Ecopetrol is taking to engage the companies that are buying their products into the journey, as well as is educating their customers in energy efficiency, in the energy use, and into maintaining their activities in a competitive way, but also taking care of the amount of emissions that are released to the atmosphere and making sure that they are compensated. I think that I'm very proud, Federico, also of what ICE is doing, and the example that is setting towards the other energy companies, that is possible not only to become carbon neutral but carbon negative, right? To have to go beyond the carbon neutrality mark, and it's definitely an example, a good example, what Green Yellow is also setting up in terms of offering solutions that are competitive, cost competitive, that make sense for the business, and that they are also clean. So if we all continue doing what we're doing, I think that we will end up in that carbon neutral condition that we all aspire to. Many thanks again for your participation, and I hope you keep well. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.